Hi everybody, this is Harmony from Harmony Stitches and welcome to my channel. Here we talk about my crafting journey, which usually revolves around cross stitch, but of course we have some knitting and crochet thrown in every once in a while. It's been, I think, 2 weeks since my last video. Since it's a holiday weekend, I have some extra time in my schedule, so I am here to give you an update of what I've been doing the last 2 weeks or so. And it's a lot. I have a huge pile here on my lap. I'm hoping I don't drop anything. So let's go ahead and get started so maybe we can avoid that. Okay, so this week I've only done cross stitching, or this last 2 weeks I should say. No knitting. I did take a break just because I felt my hands were hurting quite a bit every morning, so I'm taking a break. Hopefully I'll get back to that soon, but for now I have all of these projects. Let's see, it's 3, 6, 9, 12 projects and just 2 purchases. So let's get started. The last one that I showed you in the last video, actually, I should say, is Buffalo Plaid Summer. And I think I had about 88 stitches left in this before I moved on to the next project. If you're new with me, I've been doing the wheel, like a Tiny Decisions app or something like that. And I've been spinning it, and every project that I landed on, I was doing 500 stitches. So I just had about 88 stitches left in this one after the last video, and I did get the 88 stitches done. I put them in the border. So I just brought this border over more and this border over more with the dark gray, and that's where we are. I do believe that, I mean, there's a lot of border still, but I do believe that in one more sitting, I could have this one done. This is by Stitching with the Housewives. Yes, Stitching with the Housewives. And I'm using the DMC conversion, stitching on 28 count Monaco. Okay, so then these may not be in exact order, but I did my best in case it matters to you. So the next one that was spun is Folk Art Christmas by Artisy. And I did put, I think, one more green section in that banner, but then I started up here. And that was 500 stitches, and then I moved on to the next. This one is going to take a while. It does say I'm well over 25%, I think, but still, it's a lot of stitching. I have quite a few more sections to go. This is on, I believe this is 18 count Antique White Aida with the called for DMC. These 2 sections are done. I just have a little bit more in this banner to do, and then I started that one. So we are getting there. Almost 50%, I think. I mean, that's what it looks like on the fabric anyways, right? There's about 50% of the fabric left. Okay, this one is Crossword by Long Dog Samplers. This one is on 18 count Antique White Aida with DMC 915. The beauty about this one is it is designed to be a monochromatic piece, meaning one color. You can choose a color, or you can do things different. You could do all of the letters in the same color with everything else being a different color. You could do the borders of the blocks for the letters in one color. I mean, you could do all different kinds of things with this, but I am stitching it with 915, so it matches the Long Dog Pandemic that I stitched in 2021. So let's see, I did do a little bit more here, and obviously I am working here because I have a thread. So I think I was trying to bring this section up, and I think I did work a little bit more right here on the corner. So this is Crossword by Long Dog Samplers. So I got a little bit more done on that. This one is, I think, 22%. I don't really pay attention to that very much because I just do stitch count and then I move on. So I'm not always sure where I leave off. Okay, George decorates for Martha. I'm really excited about this one just because I'm almost finished with the house. Oops, I do have one thread. I ran out of 822 though. So let me show you what it looks like because I do have the pattern for this one. George decorates for Martha by Plum Street. This house is huge, Mount Vernon. And there's other patterns in the series, and the house is in there in some of them. And I'm like, I can only do it once. So I need to get Oscar, Weeks Dye Works Oscar, to do those leaves because I think it'll be really pretty. That's what it's called for. But I found that I still did not have it. It was out for a while. Oh, here, let me fold some more. This is stitched on 28 count Monaco that I coffee tea dyed myself with the called for. I'm using a mixture of the called for hand dyed flosses, over dyed flosses, and DMC. So the roof and her dress are both, or the orange in her dress are both over dyeds. And then most of the rest are in DMC. But I have one strand of 822 left to finish the side of the house. And then I did get another skein to do like the little windows up on top. And then there's some other things too, like the pumpkin. There's a couple of pumpkins. One here, and his pants. And then there's a Quaker star down here. And then, of course, the little blocks in the border all the way around are 822 as well. So I did make some progress. I did some of the rooftop because I had a strand hanging there. And then I just focused on building the house out. Because I know once I get that house done, everything else is going to stitch up very quickly. So a couple more sessions on that one, though. I'm not going to dream that I'm going to get it done in one session. Up next, the Nativity, and this is Country House Needleworks. The picture is really small, so unfortunately, that's just all we have. It says, "For unto you is born this day, in the city of David, a Savior, which is Christ the Lord." And then, of course, it has all of the little key people and animals involved. Oops. I forgot to put away my strand of floss. One moment. Put that back in there. Even though I bought another skein, we don't want to waste that one strand, do we? Okay, so I do not have all of the colors that are needed for this one. I did go through my flosses again, and I did find 2. So that was pretty helpful. And I only did 500 stitches, so I was able to get it done. So I found the color for the sand underneath of their feet, and it's also at the top of the creche. I put in the yellow here, and what else did I do? Oh, I put the border up here in between each, and then of course I put in that wise man and the feet. I started the feet. So I got a little bit done. Oh, I finished the manger too. The manger's done. It just needs a baby Jesus now. But I need to take this one to the cross stitch shop so I can finally get the rest of the colors that I need. I am stitching this on 28. This is called 28 count Monaco Dove Gray. To me, it's more of a very light baby blue. I don't know how it's showing up on the camera, but I don't know why it's called Dove Gray. It just is. And I am using the DMC flosses. Yeah, it's all DMC, so I'm using all the called for colors. But I was lucky that I was able to find 2 or 3 more colors, so I was able to get my stitch counts in. I think I would have been able to go up a little bit more, but I need quite a few more colors for that one. Okay, let's see. Next up is Flag by Tiana Handmade from Etsy. I put in another 500 stitches. And this was one of my WIPGO starts for August. And I think I have 1,600 stitches in this already. I do have a strand part, so don't mind that. Joann's had floss on sale and we were going to town, so I went and bought some, so I was able to put more stitches in here. The darker pink that you see along here is new. some more white over here. I'm filling that in, and then all of that darker red. I think it's 606. So that's 500 stitches. But I have a great deal of done over here now. I still am lacking quite a few colors, even though I bought some. So another trip to the store. That stitch on 18 count antique white Monaco as well. I'm hoping to find a really cool frame for that when it's finished. So, okay, next up, Into the Jungle. If you've seen this project the last time I worked on it, you'll remember that this is one that I adopted from someone else. They had the bulk of the stitching done. While the stitching that's on here, like with the animals and the blocks are done, I've just put in borders so far. So I finished a couple more borders. Let me put a bag behind it so the light doesn't shine through. So all of the stitching that you see in the animals, all the animal blocks, they did all of that. I'm just so far putting the borders on because it's a quick way for me to be able to get my 500 count stitches. And then also kind of as I'm stitching, I can kind of see where she left off. Obviously this box is not done. She started on this box, and then I also found that the bats are not quite complete. Other than that, I think she's got everything in the rest of the boxes done. So this is Into the Jungle by Frosted Pumpkin, right? Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. So there are 3 more animal blocks that need to be complete. Then there's a banner across the top that says Into the Jungle, and then there's a small banner at the bottom to tie in the design from the top border. This is stitched on, I believe this is 32 count, but I don't know what it's called. It's what she chose. She said she thought that it was the called for fabric, but I have no idea. I didn't even bother looking. I just started. Okay, this one, Christmas Tree. I call it the Christmas Tree Farm series from the Stitching with the Housewives. There's 4 different designs. I have 2 of them finished. Okay. Bringing Home the Tree I had finished previously, and Farm Fresh Balsam I had finished previously. And then I started on this one. Sorry, I do not know what the name of it is. Let me put the other piece back here. I put all 500 stitches in the truck, and I'm not quite done yet with it. I have a little bit left. I have the handles, and then I think I have a little bit on, no, I got the tailgate done. The wheels, and then there's supposed to be a green wreath on the front of the truck. I have not got on yet. But other than that, 500 stitches. So I'm doing pretty well. And then I have my other piece of fabric cut for the other one, and that is scheduled for a start on my WIPGO board. So that will be coming sometime soon because we're running out of time. 4 more months to go. And it did not get called for September. Okay, next up I have Seasons in Chalk Winter. Let me find, this is from Just Cross Stitch Magazine, 2016, I believe. So this is the stitch piece, sorry. Stitch piece here, chalk art here. This is, the chalk art is by Priscilla Blaine from Stitching with the Housewives, and then Kathy Haberman from Hands On Design turned it into a cross stitch. It was their first collaboration. I don't know if this particular one, but this series, I believe, is their first collaboration. So when I went to the store previously, not this last time, but previously, I got the floss that I needed to finish it because I ran out of 3865, as one does, because it's used a lot in these chalkboard pieces. And so here we are. I put all of the stitches in the R and then up the border a little bit, which I found after I was done that I had a couple more blue ones there on the R that I forgot to put in. But that's my 500 stitches. And I chose the R because I'm like, okay, I'm going to come close. And I was like, even though I forgot those blue ones, I was only 44 stitches from being off of my 500 goal. And this is stitched on 28 count black Monaco with the called for DMC conversion. They do use overdyes, but I don't know. Sometimes it's not worth it to me. And the amount of yellow that's used in here, it's in the house. To me, it wasn't worth spending the money on the skein. Now, you do whatever it is that you would like to do. And if you want to spend the money, I'm not going to be mad at you for it. I'm not going to judge you for it. But for myself, I just couldn't do that. Okay, vintage animals. I only got 335 stitches in before the month of August ended. So then I just started over with my WIPGO pieces. This is stitched on that 28 count Dove Monaco as well. With the called for DMC conversion from the chart. However, I'm not doing blends. I'm just choosing the color that I like out of the blend and just going with that instead. So here, this time around, I did P, Q, R, S in the small letters, the M and the L in the big letters. Yep. And then I finished the orange on the fox. He still needs his white. And then I finished the deer. And that was 335 stitches. So I'm getting there. As you can see from the piece of fabric, I'm probably 1/3 or maybe a little bit more than 1/3. Let me show you, how rude of me. Let me show you what it looks like. So vintage, oh, I have my sticky note. I made a sticky note that says what colors I'm using for my blends. So that, and it's a rough guide, but, so I'm kind of here, right? So I have all of that to go. And they don't take a long time. It's just, it doesn't come up very often in the wheel. So I would say I'm halfway on the alphabet because M or L is the middle of the alphabet, right? So I'm halfway there with the big alphabet, a little bit more to go on the smaller alphabet. And I'm making my way on the animals. I did note I was lacking the 3772 that goes in the flower petals and like this little flower here, and I noticed it up here. I was lacking that for a long time, and I kept telling myself, it's here somewhere. I know I have a skein of that. I finally found it and shoved it in here and got started on that too. But every time that I pick it up, like I finish something that I didn't have done before. So next time I pick it up, I'm going to put the white in the fox, and then I still have the raccoon left. So I do a little bit of the alphabet, and then I come back to the animals. So, and then I did put, what side am I on? The pink in the top of that flower, because I didn't have that there yet, because that's the 3772 that I didn't have before. So I'm slowly chipping away at the stitches on this one. Okay, so that was the end of August. All those projects came up. There was quite a few days where I was just, the one day, and it was a work day even, guys, I got like 835 stitches done. I was very impressed with myself. With September though, I have a lot of board meetings to go to, and so I won't get as much done, but that's okay. That will help prepare my finances for when I'm off on surgery, right? Okay, so this one is WIPGO New Start, and it's Beezy Spring by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I don't have all the flosses for this one, even though my note said it was fully kitted. I lied to myself. However, I found enough floss to get my 500 stitches for my new start. I had to search really hard for this one. out of all of my spots for my stash, because I have like these little bins. I can't show you one. I have some over here, but there's something sitting on them. But I have these little square bins, and they're perfect for the floss bags that Joann sells. And I searched through all of the stuff that didn't get put away yet, and then all of my bins, and it was literally the next to last color in the bin, the last bin. So it's a sunflower. I was able to get half the center done. There's one more color in the center, and then it outlines the whole thing, and then some of the dark petals, and then the stalk and with the leaves. This is on 18 count, I believe, 18 count antique white Ada. I bought 2 yards, so it's going to be used a lot. Okay, so that was Busy Spring. Busy Spring. And I forgot to put my note away on vintage animals. I hope I don't lose it. Okay, then the next WIPGO start was another Stitching with the Housewives pattern. I think besides that last Christmas Tree Farm one, I think I've started all of the Stitching with the Housewives patterns that I have now. So I'm almost finished with them. Okay, so this one is called Honeybee, and it's one of their What's in My Cup from What's in My Cup series. So it's bees. So there's bee skeps down here. There's a bigger bee skep coming out of the top of the cup, and then there's a couple bees with some flowers, some wildflowers around the cup. So this is 500 stitches. Well, a little bit over because I just finished my thread, but whatever. Who's judging? And I think I kept accidentally clearing out my calculator. So it could be plus or minus for human error. But what I did is I started the bee skeps, and they're striped. So I did one stripe, and then I did the next stripe, and then I came back across. And when I got to toward the top, then I started the white, or what color am I using? 3865, I think. So I started that, and then what I do is when I get to the edge of the handle, I go up the handle and then back around. And then that helps me too. I don't need it, but it helps me know, like, okay, this is the edge. So I don't accidentally stitch further. And, you know, one would think, well, you're not going to stitch past the edge that you've already created. But come on, guys. We know that silly things happen in this cross-stitching business. So that's how I always make my little cups for these. And then I just know, you know, hopefully I'll keep my edge straight over here and not make a mistake. But that's 500 stitches. Each of these little bee skeps on the bottom do have 3 more stitches on the top, but I ran out of floss. So I will get those. The colors used more in the pattern, so I will get those later. But this one, oops, I always do that, don't I? I zip my bag before I put it back in. This one should only take me one more day, maybe a day and a half to do, because I've already got the cup like 1/3 of the way, almost 1/2 of the way done, because this is the top of the cup here. So I just have that square, and then I have the bee skep and the flowers and a couple of bumblebees. So I should, in theory, be able to get that done in the next sitting. So I'm kind of hoping that it comes up in rotation just so that way. I haven't had a finish since Jurassic Park in June. So I'm hoping that I get a finish sometime. We'll see. Okay, so those are all the projects that I worked on through yesterday afternoon. I did start one last night. I picked up one, but we'll talk about that in a second. First, we'll talk about my purchases. I did buy a couple skeins of floss. Like I said, I think it was 10. And then I purchased this piece of fabric from my shop. She wrote down that it's Herald by Picture This Plus. 28 count cashel, which, if you didn't know that those extra names on the linen it just refers to the count. So cashel, C-A-S-H-E-L, it just refers to 28 count. And then, I don't know them all. I don't have them memorized, but one's Edinburgh, and, you know, so they're just referring to the stitch count. So if you say 28 count cashel, it's actually kind of redundant, but not a lot of people know that, and they don't refer to it as that. So I was playing around with some of the fabric at the shop, and I came across this in the stack, and I said, this has to come home with me. I'm holding it small and folded up because I'm hoping that it shows the color better, because then when I unfold it, the light will shine through. But I'll show you how big it is. I figured that this was big enough for maybe 4 ornaments. So if I found a series of ornaments that would fit on here, I can get at least 4 ornaments, I think, on this 28 count. So I picked that up from the store. And then when I went to pick up my in-store, or what did I do? I ordered online and picked up in the store. I got the Just Cross Stitch Halloween when I got there because they had a copy. And usually I don't buy the magazines because the patterns are too cutesy for my decorating style. But I did find that in this particular Halloween issue, there was a lot of patterns that I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh. I just kept going, ooh. And I do like Just Cross Stitch because in the back of the book, in the back of the magazine, they do show all of the projects that are included. So you can quickly go through and say, okay, yep, I like that one. Yep, I like that one. And there was quite a few that I liked, and then there was quite a few that my daughter liked too. As you can see, I have a piece of fabric sticking out, and I will show you what this is for. Oh, maybe, let's see. I have to cover up the pattern, so just give me a moment. So this is for this. It's called Midnight Meeting. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I have the chart covered up. And it's just blacks. You can use any color black you want, but it suggests 310 by DMC or Sullivan's, I believe. And I picked this out because my husband gets bored really easily when he's at home, and these long weekends are really bad. Like yesterday, he was really itching to do something. He was able to go do something, but he went with me to the cross stitch shop yesterday because I had to pick something up from them. And there's the Autumn Lane Stitchery. They still have the trunk show there. And every time that he stops in there with me, I say, hey, you like that one? You should get it to stitch. And I was really close to talking him into it. And listen, I don't need him to do the same activities that I do. It's just, I thought that it was something that because I have all the stash of fabric and floss already and all these patterns, he could choose something and stitch on it while he's watching TV instead of just scrolling on his phone. And if he chooses not to do this, then that's fine. I'm not going to be upset with him. But I did find this scrap piece of, it looks kind of like 16 count. It looks too small for 14, but I could be totally wrong. But I have the starting point here. Well, this is the corner. I counted it all out and everything. Well, I didn't count it this way because I knew it was going to be long enough. But I counted it up and down and got it centered there. And then I cut DMC 310 off of the cone that I have. So if he chooses to do this, then he can. If not, then it's already kitted for a later stitch, a later start. So I don't know if he'll end up stitching that. Because he's got this idea that when he does something, that it has to be perfect, like craft wise. And he said even like back in the day when he was growing up and he was making the model cars, he said, if I mess up on the paint and it's not right, then I've ruined it. And I said, you can't ruin cross stitch. You can make a mistake, we can rip it out, and then you just keep on, then you start over, you keep going. I said, you can't ruin it. And he said, I don't want to ruin it. I said, you can't ruin it. And so I said, let's try on a smaller project, a more simpler project, maybe one with one color. So I was going to set him up with a ghost, but I had a lot of fractional stitches on it, which you could skip the fractional stitches. Okay, fine. But I wanted it to be as easy as possible to show him that one, things don't have to be perfect, and two, you can't ruin it. And I told him that we, as in me, you, everyone watching, as cross stitchers, we make mistakes on them all the time, and sometimes we don't rip them out and no one knows. And just because you know doesn't mean that that needs to be ripped out. It just means that there is a mistake per the pattern. And that's not necessarily, who cares? You know, it's not ruining it. And if you're also a knitter and you follow Patty Lyons, which you should follow Patty Lyons because she's just a genius, she says that it's not necessarily a mistake, but an unvention, meaning you didn't set out to invent it, but by you making that quote mistake, you found a different way of doing something, and it may actually work better, not maybe for the pattern or the project that you made the invention in, but it may work better for something else. So there's that, and I won't preach at you about that any longer, but I just want you to know that there are no mistakes. So, well, and remember, I don't have it here with me, but remember the pair of socks that I was making on our trip up camping, and I did the decreases wrong. And they're only wrong because traditionally, there are 2 stitches on the toe in between the decreases. And I forgot to put those in there. So my decreases are sitting right next to each other instead of sitting apart with 2 stitches in between. So no, they don't lay completely flat. I think that's what the 2 stitches are there for, to help them lay a little bit flatter. Who cares? And you know, most people, like, if they were to see me wearing those socks out and about somewhere, you know, if I go to a friend's house and take off my shoes and they see my socks, they're not going to know that there was supposed to be 2 stitches in between the decreases. So that's what I'm talking about. But anyway, okay, so what I'm going to do this month is I'm going to give the wheel a little bit of a breather. It's there in my phone, and I will come back to it. This particular time around, I was hiding the slice, and that means the next time I spin, that one isn't in there. So I will eventually touch all of the pieces before I start the wheel over again. But I'm going to give it a break. This month, I decided that I was going to give my hand at the acrostic challenge offered in the hashtag 24 hours across stitch group, and it's actually 24HOCS. That's the group. So #24HOCS if you want to go look it up. Jen Lee, who runs the 24 hours across stitch, she does an acrostic challenge every month, and that means that there's a phrase, and I think this month's phrase is on the spot, and you choose a project that matches up with each of the letters in the acrostic, and then you do whatever goal. Some people have, it's kind of like WIPGO. It's whatever goal you have. Is it days? Is it stitches? Is it a finish? Is it a certain part of the pattern that you want to get tackled? What is it? So the one that I picked up last night, it was on an egg, and my goal is a finish because there's only 800 stitches left, so I just want to finish it off. And so I'm working on that. I found a mistake, but it's not a big deal. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to rip it out. It's not ruined. And I should show him that, like, see, it's not ruined, right? So what I don't have all of my projects chosen yet, but I'm just going to try that for this month and see how far I get on those, and see maybe if I can get a finish. We'll see. I don't know. It's good to change things up every once in a while, but I'll do that. And then in October, when I have my surgery and I'm on recovery for a couple months, if allowed, I do have to do a little bit of work from home, but not much. And that would be the second week, not the week after, because I'm not going to be in any condition. But the second week, I'll need to do some work from home. And in the meantime, I'm going to pick my daughter's sweater back up and see if I can knock out maybe the front panel, the panel that I'm working on. or back, front, I don't know. One is made a little bit differently once you get up to the shoulders, because then then you're going to start the collar and stuff. It's a very interesting construction, and I'm kind of excited to see the words into action, so your mind's eye can see what they're talking about. Like, I can't wait to get to that part, but I have a long way to go because I have to finish the first panel and then get up, almost finish the second panel. So that's my goal for October. That's it. Is just to maybe try to finish the one panel of the sweater, just because I've never broken a bone. Besides having my daughter, I've never made a stay in the hospital. Besides having my daughter, I've never had any stitches. So I have no idea how this is going to play out. So I'm not making any big goals or any promises for October, which I kind of, filled you in on last time. So one panel. If I can get one panel done by the end of the month, I will feel that I'm pretty lucky and pretty successful. So anyways, I think that is all that I have to talk to you about this go round. I'm hoping to come back and see you one more time by the time I have my surgery. So it should be the last, is it the last Sunday? Is it the 30th, September 30th? Or would it be October 1st? Is that Sunday before the surgery? So I'm hoping, so it'll be another month almost, but I'll have a lot to show you and a lot to talk about. And then that way I can ensure that I come back to see you one more time before I'm off for a little bit. Because again, I have no idea how long I'm going to be off. If I can't go back to work, I'm not making a video. So we'll see how it goes. And I hope that you were inspired by something that I showed today to either pick up a languishing whip or maybe try something new. And if you're out there watching and you've never cross-stitched before, I encourage you, because I think my husband might actually give it a shot this afternoon. I'm hoping, or maybe tomorrow, because tomorrow he's going to be bored again because we have the day off. So I'm hoping that you maybe try something new. And if you've never knit before, send me a message and I'll give you some tidbits on how to get started and where to go for some video tutorials, okay? Other than that, I really thank every single one of you, whether you're returning or this is your first time visiting with me. I really appreciate you taking the time out to do that, because there's a lot of people that you could watch. And so I appreciate you spending some time here with me. If you've enjoyed what you saw and want to see what's coming up next, don't forget to hit that subscription button along with the notification bell. It also helps to show my videos to other people too that may enjoy the projects that I'm stitching and the somewhat randomness of how I choose my projects. So until the next Sunday that I can come around and see you, bye.